Hello, this is Chris Brett from Eurogamer, joined by Christian Donlan, features man and all-round nice guy.
Hello, hello.
How's it going? So you may already have seen the other XCOM 2 video we did, which is actually the mission preceding this one, and we recorded that as kind of a live Let's Play with myself and Garth DeAngelis from Phyrexis Games. This one we're taking a look at with a few days to mull it over. And you haven't seen any of this before, have you?
I haven't seen any, and I saw a glimpse of the base building earlier, and it blew my mind, so I'm very excited.
So this is the fourth and final mission that I played, and it is a kind of narrative-focused one. There is a very clear objective that you need to do. I think this is a unique map for this particular mission, and you start on a building over here, and that's the thing that we need to go and...
So it's a bit like, almost like the whale mission in Enemy Within.
Yeah, that's right, and I get the sense that there's a lot more of... There's a much wider range of variety when it comes to the objectives that you want to focus on. They're not all narrative-led. Like some of them, you choose how to access on the map, and lots of optional missions to pick up new supplies and things. We talked about that in the other video, but yeah, the narrative ones kind of, things are going to kick off a little bit.
Right.
This is by far the most difficult of the missions that I tried. So we are setting up here, and you can see. Do you know anything about concealment mode?
No, I don't know anything. Like I've come to XCOM 2 very. I've kept pure. I don't know anything about it.
Well, I'm going to ruin that for you now and tell you loads of details. So,
okay, it's only because I'm so excited I've tried to sort of...
So in concealment mode, but this is when you start most missions, you have the opportunity to set up an ambush, and this only works once, so you only get to try and do... You find some powerful looking enemies and you take them out before they can react to you.
Right.
And right now I found there's a turret over here, and then we've got a Viper Lady and an Advent soldier. So the three enemies to deal with, and they won't react. They'll have their own little patrol as they casually stroll around the map, but they don't know we're here yet.
Right, so you have a chance to get the drop on them.
Yeah, and it's incredibly satisfying if you do manage to set up an ambush, because you have quite a lot of time to deal with that usually. And when you do, you finally tune exactly what you want to happen, and it does happen. It's really nice.
I'm assuming it's also a lot of fun when it goes hilariously, catastrophically wrong.
Well, obviously I wouldn't know that, Donlan.
Oh no, of course.
When Chris Pratt sends up an ambush,
you stay ambushed.
They go perfectly. So yeah, but it's just a nice take on it, because XCOM Enemy Unknown, we both have a lot of fun memories of that game.
Oh god, yes.
Had its fair share of problems. One of them was the way in which patrols worked. Like before you encountered pods of enemies, groups of enemies, they would kind of be teleporting around the map almost, instead of actually doing a natural patrol, obviously to save time and also to save a little bit of CPU, I imagine. And that kind of meant that weird things would happen, and it didn't feel like a real battlefield until it started.
It constantly felt that you were just discovering people who had just been placed there that moment.
For a video game, whereas this feels a little bit more like you're actually setting up for some kind of encounter. I think that's a worthwhile change.
Which ties in with the fiction, of course, of now being the kind of guerrilla, the invading force.
Yeah, in fact, a lot of the missions are referred to as guerrilla ops.
Right.
So yeah, you are very much like the resistance trying to fight back. And yeah, so here I'm trying to hack this turret. I want to get rid of it without making any noise, because if I make noise, concealment's done. And I have a 76% chance of disabling it.
That's not good odds.
I can go for 22% to just take permanent control of it, which obviously I didn't.
Oh, so but you did, you disabled it?
Yeah, I had the choice. Yeah, 76% in XCOM is not very good.
No, 96 in XCOM often isn't very good.
So that has bought me a little bit of time. You can see it's taken out of the game for 2 turns.
Right.
It will start shooting me if I don't deal with it after that. But that makes me feel a little bit more comfortable about moving up here and setting up an ambush.
Shades of invisible ink throughout this.
Yeah, in fact, they are quite open about the fact that they have loads of games have taken inspiration off XCOM Enemy Unknown since 2012. I think that's very clear. But likewise, the XCOM team have started to learn from some of those games that have kind of been inspired by them. They referenced Massive Chalice actually at one point.
Really?
They've done a nice little change. So when you are about to move your unit into a new position, it shows you clearly whether or not they'll have line of sight on an enemy.
Oh, that's brilliant.
Which is actually probably one of my favourite changes
to
XCOM.
Probably the most handy.
And came from Massive Chalice, which is interesting, because that was a game that had learnt from XCOM Enemy Unknown but really missed some of my favourite bits of it.
Yeah, oh, definitely.
But a nice little thing to nab.
Oh, I'm excited. Is this ambush going to work out?
Well, we'll see, won't we? This is the bit that could have thrown me. You don't really know what their patrol is going to look like, even though it's not a big patrol. They only kind of stroll very lazily across the map. That can go wrong. You can see those red tiles. If they patrol and your units that you tried to get close to the enemies are found within those red tiles, then it all goes wrong, and concealment it just doesn't work anymore. They start shooting you instead, I imagine. But it's worked out here. So I've got my sniper over here, who I've tried not to move because I want to be able to use the sniper rifle rather than the pistol. And then I've pretty much moved everyone else over here. Now the way it works is that you can fire one shot and then they react. But if you want to, you can put your other soldiers onto Overwatch, so when they do react to you shooting at them and move, you then start to take shots.
Spring the trap.
Yeah, and that's just happened there. So I've done some damage to the Viper Lady, who they just freak me out so much.
The Viper Lady is the one you definitely want to take down out of these two, is that right?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, definitely. She's the stronger one.
Over.
And I actually missed the shot then, but the weapon that I've got is, and we'll talk about this in a second, is has its own little unique attribute. When you miss, you still do 2 points of damage.
Oh, wow.
It's basically a special weapon that they kitted me out with for the purposes of the save file.
How do they explain that in the fiction?
Because they're referred to as legacy weapons, right? And this basically means that when you kill enemies, they have a chance of dropping little bits and pieces that you can... I'm glad that didn't explode, by the way. I wasn't 100% sure that it wouldn't explode and kill me. Yeah, when you kill enemies, there's a chance that they'll drop certain items that you can attach to your weapons, like scopes and stuff.
Right.
So rather than just making them, you're acquiring them from the enemy, which kind of fits into the fiction as well, because you haven't got the production that you once had.
Oh, definitely.
And so you can really kit out these weapons, but when that soldier dies, you can pick up the weapon and take it back home with you and give it to the next soldier.
Ah, nice.
And so it kind of ties into that whole thing of like, although the soldiers will die, something of them lives on.
Right.
And also you invest a lot of time and effort into improving these weapons, I imagine, then you can potentially just lose them if you can't pick them up.
That feels like they've learnt a lot of stuff from Enemy Within, the kind of kitting out a mech and then losing your mech.
Yes,
it's just
exactly.
A heartbreaking moment.
And it's an interesting comparison because not all of I imagine a sizable amount of the Enemy Unknown team went straight from Enemy Unknown to XCOM 2, and it was a sort of a different team that worked on Enemy Within from what I can understand. So yeah, they've had to learn from a bunch of things, including themselves.
Yeah, Enemy Within is a really fascinating sort of refinement of the game anyway, and it's interesting that they're not taking mechs across, it looks like.
Yeah, they are in a way into, there's some enemies that are mechs, and my heavy actually, my Grenadier, is wearing some kind of suit that allows her to use heavy weapons, which is kind of going in that direction. Oh, and basically the narrative of this mission is that those little pods there, they got humans in it. It turns out the Advent, the people that kind of have taken over the world and working with the aliens, they're not good guys, Christian. Who would have thought it?
I had high hopes for them.
And basically they've still been kidnapping or abducting even human beings to use for weird alien stuff.
Yeah, aliens they do like to abduct.
They're into that, aren't they?
They're very into it. I'm excited to be able to sort them out.
Yeah,
justice. A bit of Chris Pratt shaped justice.
What do you think of it so far? I think it looks better, right? I think that's...
Yeah, it was a really hard... I think the original game looks great in a weird way. Like, it's not a particularly beautiful looking game, but it just looks right. It's got that kind of dingy direct-to-video feel for it, which just works perfectly. It's one of my favourite looking games. And I think this is sort of cleaner and a bit sharper, but no, it looks... It's the same. It's sort of like playing with chunky action figures, which is what this game is.
Yeah, definitely. And to be honest, the game, from my experience so far, only 4 missions, like I say, it does feel that was not the optimum route to take.
No,
and you know
they take weird routes, don't they?
What is all that? That's just showing off. Yeah, it does feel remarkably similar to XCOM Enemy Unknown. I don't think any of us expected too much different, but the changes are welcome ones.
Yeah.
There's lots and lots of changes that I imagine people that weren't familiar with the original game will kind of go, well, why is it exciting that this game has more random elements to it, or why is it exciting that the classes have been changed up in this way, or that the enemies work slightly differently. But XCOM for me has always been about those little differences, those little attributes.
And I think flipping it around so that you're now sort of the invader is enough of a change to justify a sequel anyway.
So I guess from my experience so far, that was me. You know when sometimes a cutscene comes on and you leave the mouse at the bottom to get the mouse out of the way?
Classic fog of war moment.
It doesn't feel hugely different, but it feels fresh, and I think that is exactly what I wanted from it.
Yeah, it's perfect sweet spot.
The one thing that I'm unsure of at the moment, out of everything so far, is I said that they've gone for more of a random element, and this will show up in this mission in a few ways. One of which is where the enemies are located, which enemies you fight. That's what happened in Enemy Unknown. But also, my exit point for this mission, it turns out, was randomly assigned.
Oh, really?
And in fact, Phil Savage from PC Gamer, who was also at the same preview thing, had a way more difficult exit point than I did.
But this reminds me of Invisible Ink, where part of the genius of it is the random assigning of the exit points.
Yeah. And how that can, like, if you find it really early on in that game, that isn't actually always the best idea. Although in this mission itself, I don't know that I'm even looking for an exit yet.
Right.
I don't know. It was... at the moment, it's exciting, as a lot of these new changes are, just because they're different. It will be interesting to see how I feel about XCOM and the word randomness.
Yeah, absolutely.
After a few hours in it, because it comes into play everywhere. It comes into play in how some of my weapons work. Like a couple of my weapons that I'm using have 5% chances to do really cool stuff. Like one of them has a 5% chance to just kill people outright. One has a 5% chance to not use an action. And oh man, everything's sort of kicking off now.
It's interesting that they're embracing that a little bit more than they did in the original game.
Yeah, quite a bit more.
And I've just been playing Chaos Reborn, which is Julian Gollop, who made the first XCOM, his latest game, and that embraces randomness on a scale which some people will find absolutely maddening. Like I was explaining to John Bedford, a strategy fan at Eurogame, and he's just going, I don't like the idea that I might try and do something and it just might not work. Mm-hmm. And there's so much of that game is about randomness, and it's nice to see Jake Solomon, who is a sort of a Gollop devotee, I think it's fair to say, sort of going in a similar direction. Yeah, and I'm torn on at the moment, because on one point of view, I also don't really like the idea of getting like screwed over in a mission because something I hadn't predicted. Like percentage shots to hit, I'm completely cool with, because that's always presented to you right now. Whereas like this extra layer of like 5% chance to do all these crazy things that can turn a game around. I'm not quite as sure about it. It depends how happy, I mean, I think there's a bunch of strategy players who are happy to feel that they got lucky sometimes, which is, I'm definitely in that world. Though I do like games which have no RNG, like I was playing, we were talking about Frozen Cortex earlier on, and that was a game with no RNG at all. Yeah. But it's one of those things, I'm excited to see them going in that direction a little bit.
And on the other kind of point of view I was going to say is that in XCOM Enemy Unknown, eventually when you learnt all the systems, the whole thing did become a little bit too formulaic. Like not just the gameplay itself, which there was kind of often an optimal way to move around maps because you knew where the spawns might be. Also, there was the fact that there was a build order that you should follow. Yeah. And you can get to a point where that stops being as fun because you feel like you know everything.
Absolutely.
And then it's just a dice roll.
It is a really nice way to keep a bit of wildness in a game.
Yeah. So
though it will frustrate people.
I just don't know yet. I will no doubt find out after like 10, 20 hours with XCOM 2 how I feel about it.
Knowing this team and the way that they even with the first XCOM, the way they were willing to tear everything up and go back if it wasn't working properly, I think they will be examining all the possible options.
Sure. Yeah, and I gotta say, I just had loads of fun with this demo. I will admit that I noticed this because I've just watched back the other video that we've put up, the mission before this, and I do play quite cautiously throughout this. I'd like to point out that there were people from Firaxis, the people that made XCOM Enemy Unknown, watching me play, and that adds a certain level of pressure to the proceedings.
But there's also, I think, certainly one of the feelings they had internally about the original Enemy Unknown is that it encouraged you to play cautiously, which is why Enemy Within introduced the meld canisters, which you'd rush off to get. It was trying to get you out of your comfort zone.
And that will sort of change throughout this mission. Yes, that's right.
I like the grenade is a bit more clarity on the grenade.
And exactly what targets it's going to hit and what it's going to destroy. Yeah. And destruction is even more prevalent in this in XCOM 2. We'll get into that once we get into the building, actually. But yeah, this mission kind of is a bit more fluid, changes once you get inside the factory in terms of your objective. And right now, I can turtle a little bit. I can move an Overwatch, and I am perhaps being a bit more cautious. But I do get the sense that they are aware that that was eventually a bit of an issue. And I should say all 4 missions that I played were different and had some kind of incentive for you to take the occasional risk here and there. Not always, but like in different ways. So reinforcements can show up throughout missions. And that is, once again, another random element, random in terms of when it will happen and where it will happen. And that can just really screw with you if you've been moving really, really slowly. It happened in the mission before this. A pocket of reinforcements showed up directly behind me. You get 1 turn warning that they're going to show up, a kind of flare comes down, and then you're like, oh God, now I need to face exactly the opposite direction that I've been preparing to.
Reinforcement, there is probably a whole podcast to be done on the idea of reinforcements in turn-based tactics games, but and now's not the time to get into it.
Well, I think the time to get into it will actually be at the end of this mission when I do have some interesting moments with reinforcements, but I think I know what you're going to say.
Poor snipers, always left behind.
Yeah, so she starts off with squad sight now, which is I actually kind of like, because there was a really awkward phase for snipers they're called sharpshooters now, in XCOM Enemy Unknown, when you had to look after them before they had the abilities that allowed them to move into decent locations, like squad sight. That was really important. Yeah, I've been screwed here. It was like looking after an awkward teen. Like they were almost useful, but they were just a bit annoying at the moment.
Yes.
And now everyone's freaking out. That's why you turtle in Overwatch.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because suddenly people show up from a side that you weren't expecting. I was looking towards the big factory, right?
There is a belt and braces pleasure in XCOM where someone turns up that you did not foresee and 5 of your guys unleash sort of everything on them.
There are a couple of reasons why I wanted to do this. One is I'm kind of genuinely panicking a little bit because I wasn't expecting anyone to come from the left. And 2, I realised, you know what? I haven't used the rocket launcher yet.
Oh wow.
I wonder if that's fun. But first, as I often do, always fire with the sniper just to see what happens. Because you know you can't move them if you want to use a sniper rifle. So see what you can get with a good sniper shot, and then.
That is one of the bits of genius of the first game. Is the.
Oh man.
Oh.
So she hasn't actually.
Oh wow. Oh that.
Look how much damage. There are 4 damage markers there. I'm still not entirely sure what happened. I don't think there were other units inside the building, but for some reason both of those units got hit twice. I don't know if.
Did they get hit by the falling stuff?
Perhaps? I think that's actually what happened, and this is something that Golf mentioned in the other video, that if, for example, if there's an enemy on a roof, you can blow up the floor beneath them, and as they fall, they take falling damage.
This feels like classic XCOM. Even though it's new, it feels like something that just belongs there because it is so systems driven, it is so sort of logical.
Yeah, and I think this is one of the advantages of them. I don't know if this is a PC only thing or what, but it feels like the tech they're working with is just a little bit more accomplished now, or they've learned how to use it a little bit more. And so there are lots of nice little adjustments, and things like the destructible cover and destructible environments just feels a little bit more certain. There was always a thing in Enemy Unknown when you weren't entirely sure if that pillar was destructible.
Do they do procedural maps now in XCOM 2?
Yes, and that's a huge thing.
That's a huge change.
I don't think I played any of them.
Right.
Because most of the ones I did were kind of like narrative led. Maybe the one before this actually. Maybe the one before this had some procedural elements to it. But this one definitely feels like this factory has been pre-designed for what's about to happen. Perhaps the area surrounding it is procedural, I don't know. But I get the impression that you will always do this mission once. And I've triggered a cutscene, which I really didn't want to do then.
Oh wow. Oh dear.
So,
so
yeah, they're turning humans into green gunk.
I hate it when people do that.
Yeah, and
I think they'd have learned.
The XCOM chaps would like me to go and pick up that handily placed vial.
Often in a green gunk factory, you do get the handily placed fire.
Yeah, absolutely. So already, can we see any enemies in here? We can see a couple, can't we?
It looks like it's a bit better at dealing with multi-level locations.
Yes, although there is a bug that I encounter a couple of times in this, in which I can't cycle through the layers, and I have to make a movement for it to understand what I'm trying to do.
Oh, that's the worst.
That was a bug, and they are aware of it and want to address it.
Right,
But I do encounter it in this. So I'm taking my sniper up to the top, risky location because that's half cover. I kind of want to figure out what to do here.
Who are
I think
these guys?
She's in a good spot.
So what are these?
These are Advent. So these are the kind of the people that are working with the aliens, and that is a mech.
Is that a mechtoid? Is that the sort of the evolution of the mechtoid?
No, it's just a mech.
Right.
It's just an Advent mech. The thing is, right now, I know that's bad. I just don't know quite how bad it is. That's the thing I'm about to learn.
That's brilliant. That's such an XCOM emotional journey.
And it's a great thing when you encounter new enemies in XCOM. There's a real pleasure and fear in trying to figure out what they can do. Because you have to often judge it on their appearance.
Oh yeah, definitely. So when the
mutons,
the mutons, when they turn up in the first one, you're like, oh, this just looks bad. This looks terrible.
So when I was, unfortunately, I don't get to trigger, but someone who was playing on the same day as me did actually have a muton appear. Well, the new mutons appear on their map, their version of this mission. Whereas that's because the enemies are kind of randomly.
That is a cool way of keeping things. I just think it's great. I love random stuff.
Okay. Yeah. There's definitely a line, I think, but yeah, particularly with stuff like that, so you can't anticipate exactly the enemies you're going to encounter. That's cool.
It's very hard balancing, I imagine, because it is a philosophical difference. There are people who like it philosophically and people who don't. So.
You can see at the moment I'm sort of freaking out a little bit. You know, it's bad when you're like, can I use grenades at this stage? Is that something I could start doing, please? So I've moved my ranger, who is the kind of the assault shotgun sword, close, thrown a grenade in, did a couple of points of damage, really not enough. And I think what I've done is cleared a little bit of cover, perhaps think about giving my sniper a shot with her pistol. That turns out to be a rubbish idea.
As ever with you, I'm always amazed by how much thought is going in. You don't seem to panic in the same way that a lot of people do. Like, I'm talking about me.
You can see the moments when I do panic, because I start pressing tab to switch through soldiers a lot. Just because I'm like, maybe the next one will have something.
I got? I magically got someone who's going to solve this.
So right now, I know I can't deal with this turn. I'm trying to put everyone into positions where they can survive, and then we'll take them out next turn. The one exception I've got is that Stacey Bell, the cleaner, my sharpshooter.
Is that her
here,
nickname?
Yeah. I didn't give it to her, but I liked it. The pistol that she has is actually really pretty freaking good. And I've got the chance to take out one of the Advent troopers, like the normal soldiers. But if I do that, she's going to be left in half cover, and that's freaking me out.
Oh, she's the cleaner. She can take care of herself.
So this is me panicking, because what I've done there is looked at the same options twice.
This is what brat panic looks like.
And then pressed hunker down, like a sensible XCOM commander. I think that's what I do anyway. Come on, there we are.
Nice
so
work.
all three of them are still up and standing, and I'm just hoping that I don't die.
But your priority next time is definitely this guy.
Remember when I said that I didn't quite know what the mech was capable of?
That's not really bad. Oh my god.
Turns out...
I was not expecting that.
Turns out they can fire rockets from the back that didn't do loads of damage, but completely decimated the full cover that I was standing in front of.
And now everyone else can.
And then someone else took a shot, missed, but look at the damage they do to environments now.
Made a real mess for the cleaner right there.
However, she has an ability that means when people shoot at her, she shoots back with a pistol and just drop the guy in one shot.
Is that called being a Republican?
It's called cleaning up, my friend. I'll just completely skim over it.
Right over my dodgy political joke.
And look at that. Thankfully, they went for the Grenadier, who seems to be one of my hardier troops. Left out completely in the open.
Always makes me think of grenadine, which just makes me a bit thirsty.
I honestly was really not very happy right now.
No, this is really like, you've gone for the XCOM equivalent of like shaky cam. It's like a
tab.
NYPD Blue episode all of a sudden. That's how I'll explain that reference later.
And I thought when I got the close-up shot of her that I'd taken it out. That usually means you got a kill.
But no.
Not quite. But the interesting thing is with my sharpshooter, you see the place where they missed her, right?
Yeah.
But they completely destroyed where she would have been standing if she was one tile to the left. If that had happened, she would have fallen from the roof into that. And that could have even... Oh yeah, that was one of XCOM's dodgy animations.
Yeah, no, but I mean, you wouldn't really want it any other way. You'd want them to. I want them to save a little bit of that kind of roughness.
But yeah, like this was a really good example for me of, oh god, destructible environments are...
I love the idea that that you could change the game just so much by having an enemy who just does a load of damage to the environment.
Exactly. Like the mech did 2 points of damage when it actually hit.
But it's absolutely...
But it just got rid of everything.
Oh.
And there we are.
Oh, God. Such a relief.
Yeah, that was the one that was freaking me out. It was the mech that, after I saw what just happened, I was quite happy to just...
Sometimes, though, the situations which get you is where there's one enemy who's drawing all of your attention.
Yeah.
And then someone else. It reminds me of a friend of mine who was so nervous about driving that whenever they got to their destination, they totally relaxed and then crashed. And it's the same sort of thing. They crash while parking.
Is that what my XCOM play looks like to you?
No, it's surgical.
You're going to like what happens next, I think.
He looks like noted fashion photographer.
So this is my ranger, right? This is the assault guy has a shotgun and also a sword on his back, which...
What? I saw that.
Which just... Oh, and he hopped over the thing.
Oh my God.
And there we are.
They've really embraced the kind of survivalist thing with the sharpshooter and the guy with the sword, walking around with the sword and stuff.
Yeah, I mean, they still... I'm obviously working with like low-level perks, or whatever you want to call them, low-level like upgrades to each of these class types. And they all feel very heavily inspired by their predecessors in some way. Like the ranger has a sword on his back, but really that's the equivalent of standing in the tile next to an enemy and shooting him with the shotgun. Yeah. It's the very same thought process. It just looks cooler and doesn't use any ammo or whatever. But it's there's a clear inspiration. The one that works differently for me is the specialist, who has this little gremlin that follows around. She's just used that to heal Junkyard over here, who took a bit of a beating. And yeah, the specialist, and because of how the hacking stuff works as well, she feels a bit different.
What's the yellow logo that's showing up near the mech?
That right there. That's, you remember I said the legacy weapons. You pick up items.
Oh right, that's.
Yeah, in fact, I'm going to go over there in a second, and turns out those mechs drop.
See, that is
hella good loot.
That is definitely the evolution of Meld.
Yes.
It's something cool which encourages you to take risks.
And you see, it's got a timer above it, right? It's
yeah,
got 2
exactly
turns
like
until
Meld.
it self-destructs.
Yeah. Meld was amazing because it turned XCOM into American football a little bit.
It was great. It managed to change how XCOM. I don't know
so
what I'm doing here.
No, but you're doing it
because it was working with a rule set already established by Enemy Unknown, but managed to adapt it in a really cool way.
Anything which just encourages you to do something which is not necessarily in your most obvious best interests.
Sure. And we talked about that with Invisible Ink before. That game was really good at making you do silly things because you thought it might pay off later on.
Yeah, absolutely.
And XCOM's embracing a bit more of that, I think.
I like the idea with these games that you can win the battle and lose the war.
Yeah, absolutely. And you can totally do that in the base building, I imagine. I didn't get to have a real good dig around with that because I was there to play a couple of missions, and really it was having a look at stuff in between that. But I didn't really build anything myself or mess around with any of the engineering or research in a major way. Anyway, I'm now just preparing myself to get everyone close to that item that I need to pick up.
Are you expecting an ambush of some kind?
Oh, here's that bug I'm talking about. You see, I can't cycle through. So what I have to do, annoyingly, I'm looking through this window. I look through this window to do a movement.
That is so XCOM. Oh my God. I mean that in a good way.
Yeah, no, it's completely fine once you've moved once, but like you're actually looking through a window to be like, yeah, I can move there, that's all right. Thankfully, there's nothing else going on inside. We've killed everything, because that might be kind of awful otherwise. And yeah, I've got 1 turn left to pick up the item over there.
Are you going to bother? Are you going to do it?
I am. I think I'd do it with the Grenadier. So I'm trying to do it whilst also not standing in stupid positions. So there we are.
See, that's the difference between you and I.
So we've got an advanced laser sight, a laser sight, and something that I think can improve the agility of your soldier.
I love that they call it loot as well.
Yeah, it feels like it as well. That was like opening a treasure chest.
It's so brilliant.
Not feeling great about where the cleaner is right now. I just don't like that around her things are on fire and there's a big hole in the ceiling.
She's the cleaner. She can.
Oh, it's happened again. Yeah. So this is again. I have to look through this freaking window. This really needs to be addressed by the time
I'm sure it will be.
The game comes out. Yeah. I mean,
it's February. It's February now.
Yeah, it's February 5th. This happened whilst one of the developers was watching, so they are not unaware.
Did they do like a developer face at that point? Were they like, ooh, you know?
Yeah, a little bit, yeah. In fact, it happened in the video before this as well. Yeah.
Well, you can get there.
Yeah, although I wasn't sure whether or not I could pick it up after dashing. And also, I've just got this slight fear of when you pick up a key objective, that often triggers the next stage of whatever mission you're in. And I'm worried that I pick it up on like the last turn of my last soldier, and then suddenly reinforcements arrive.
No, definitely.
So I want to be, and I'm being a bit of a coward.
You're thinking like a video game soldier, though. I think Ross Kemp would be proud. He would find room for you in Ultimate Force.
Oh, say it so. But yeah, like I said, there were people from Phyrexis watching this. I'm not losing soldiers in front of these people. I got to try and pretend that I know how to play their video game.
I would never. Oh, I just couldn't do it. I couldn't play XCOM in front of someone for Phyrexis.
And this is the third time that this colour issue is happening. It's definitely more obvious when most of the mission takes place in a giant factory. But there, we've got the thing, and yeah, take vial is an action. And yeah, so this is called the Blacksite. This is what he's been referred to before now. He's really, really not impressed by that, is he?
No, he's like, it's the worst vial I've ever seen. It's quite nice.
They're actually telling him now, I'm not sure you can quite hear, that it'll be fine if he picks it up, it won't hurt him. And I get this sense that he's like, how do you know that? This is alien technology. You've got no idea.
So have you got to escape now?
Ooh. Yeah, and that means reinforcements. That's one of those flares I was talking about. So I was right.
You see, I like that they do it with a flare as well, rather than a big kind of like just abstract reinforcements marker.
So you can see the blue square out there is where I need to get to escape.
Yeah, I'm worried about the cleaner, I'll tell you.
And you can see that the reinforcements are right by it. And then really interestingly, there isn't an exit on that side of the factory. So like there's one main entrance here, but there isn't a clear exit to get through to the where I need to go. And as you said, the cleaner is way behind the rest of them.
I want to be the cleaner, but I feel she'll be all right. To earn that nickname, she's got to know what she's doing.
So what I'm going to do is, there may have well been a different option. In fact, I think I could have opened this door here and just walked out on the right side. That would perhaps be the more sensible option. But what I'm going to do is blow a hole in that wall.
You're going to make your own exit. Yeah. I've heard this about you. When we work with Chris Bratt, he makes his own exits.
Exactly. But I know that next turn reinforcements are going to arrive, so I'm also trying to get in some kind of position that means when that happens, I can have good shots at whoever turns up. Grenadier has a grenade launcher, so she can fire them further, which I like. Whoa! And there we are. I didn't actually take out all of the wall as I was thinking.
Did you take out enough?
But I took out a corner. I think you'll see it in a second. Yeah, I've taken out that corner so I can get out. But this weird window with the lasers on it.
Yeah.
Don't know what all that's about.
It's not very harmonious.
Didn't want to ask.
Kevin MacLeod wouldn't like it, would he? So it doesn't really sit within the landscape.
And yeah, I'm now sort of not in the best position because I'm using.
This is turtle time.
I've used a couple of movements already, so I haven't got many overwatches, and the cleaner has had to run all over the place.
You don't worry about the cleaner. I keep telling you the cleaner.
No, she's in a really bad spot.
She's fine. She's fine.
So I know that when the reinforcements turn up, they don't tend to overwatch from what I've seen so far. So I'm basically getting into position to be able to move on them next.
Well, I like that.
I think that looks like a Cylon ship in Battlestar Galactica.
See, I don't have that experience.
Okay, I said that to Garth in the last video, and he didn't answer, which either means yes, it was, and you shouldn't mention it, or I've never seen Battlestar Galactica, stop being a nerd.
Wow.
It was one of those two things.
Who knows? Maybe he'll sound off in the comments and tell us which is which.
And oh no! Oh god, I forgot about this. So the reinforcement showed up on the right, but it turns out I hadn't taken out all the enemies on the map yet. There was still a group just on this side. So this is actually one of the worst things that could have happened, because now instead of having to face enemies in one direction,
you're in a pincer. It's Stalingrad. It's Stalingrad. I can't work out who you are though.
I mean, I didn't expect that. I really, really didn't expect that. And now I'm going to start pressing tab a lot.
Yeah, okay, I'm excited. We're going to see a lot of...
Okay, so I've got two shots that I can make with the sniper. I'd rather take that than move. And I missed, but managed to do a couple points of damage because of her weapon, which really doesn't help me a lot against an enemy with 3 points of health.
I genuinely don't know how you're going to get out of this. I'm just going to say, if I was in this situation, I would not be getting out of this.
By this stage, there were at least 4 people watching me play as well.
Wow.
Which really, I didn't deal well with that.
Was one of them telescoping or whatever it's called for
periscoping? Christian, please.
For
you're worse than Wes.
Jake Sullivan. Telescoping. I don't know. I knew I was going to get like I was going to do the old man getting the word wrong. So
you did it. You really did it very well.
Well, was someone gramophoning it in the background?
Ah, jeez. So what I decided to do here eventually,
yes,
is there's no point in going out and trying to fight them because I'm pincered, right? Yep. However, there is only really one entrance into where I am at the moment. They've got to go through this hole in the wall, right? So I'm going to pull back slightly and set up some kind of Overwatch trap, like a coward. But hopefully that means as they come in, I can start to do some damage. But yeah, I'm really starting to panic a little bit.
I think if Jake Solomon was watching on Telescope, he'd like the cut of your jib.
Overwatch turtling, I'm not sure if that's what people like to see.
He'd just do a slow clap, but like the good kind.
All right, okay. So I've moved my Grenadier back into full colour here. She's got a good spot, and she's also thinking, well, you know what? I could fire a grenade. I'm not against the idea. Turns out I was against the idea. I didn't fire a grenade. I need to stop spoiling what happens.
No, it's fine. You want to because now you've just opened a greater mystery.
And then everyone died, and I didn't have time to replay the mission.
What? Is that where we're going?
I don't know.
I hope not.
I definitely didn't have time to replay the mission. I'll tell you that.
I bet you got them. I bet you got everyone to safety. I have such faith in you.
I appreciate your confidence.
As an XCOM commander.
So yeah, are there any other things that jumped out to you that you want to ask about? Like, but what you're seeing is what I played, and I messed around with a few of the missions. I played the tutorial. I don't know if I've really spoken about this much. That was a couple of missions that start off the game. You can disable it in the same way that XCOM Enemy Unknown allows you to do it, which I really like. It's good actually for providing some story context. So the commander is actually a character now that they rescue.
Oh yeah.
I'd still...
Is it the same guy?
It's you, from the past game.
Right.
You lost the war, and they
which I
captured
love.
you.
I love that the what's canon is losing. It's so.
Turns out you can blow up the rest of the wall with another grenade.
Job done.
And yeah, the first couple of missions are all about that, like rescuing yourself, the commander, and kind of preparing XCOM for what's to come. And I like it from a story perspective, but because it's a tutorial, just the same as the last XCOM.
Yeah.
It's a bit too handholdy.
The tutorial in the first in XCOM is not great.
No.
But I've got a question, and maybe I don't know, maybe it's not spoilers, but is the whole aspect of keeping the XCOM on board, the different nations on board, has that survived in any way?
So you do hear from the council, the XCOM council.
Right, you still have to keep them sweet.
But the nations themselves have all, as far as I understand, been taken over by the
Advent.
Yeah, that's
how I wondered how that was going to work.
This game starts off with the 20th year celebration of Unification Day, which is that was an interesting shot, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Don't really know. I love it when Overwatch doesn't know quite what's going on. I think she was shooting at someone on the right, but Overwatch made it look like she was shooting at a wall.
Yeah, I like it. I like those glitches.
Yeah, I kind of do as well.
They're part of what makes XCOM great.
Yeah.
I think.
Because you need to be able to laugh occasionally in this game, otherwise it will just tear you apart. Yeah.
But is there still that sense of like trying to keep people? There's great moments in the first
game.
But
it's more about building up a resistance rather than obviously you're starting from zero, whereas in Enemy Unknown it was all about starting at 100 and trying to slow your decline until the end of the game. Now I get the impression it's about starting at 0 and seeing how high you can get up.
That's very interesting.
That's as far as I understand so far. I don't know exactly how everything will work there. There is there's a bar that fills up on the world map, the geoscape, in between missions, and if that bar reaches the end, the aliens and Advent achieve their goal and it's game over.
Oh wow!
So there is a bar that you need to stop from filling up.
Oh, this sounds completely brilliant.
Oh god, I ate an Overwatch there.
That?
So it turns out I forgot about an Overwatch, or didn't realise that they would get line of sight.
Take any damage there?
Yes, 3 points. Ooh. Yeah, that's not great. I think I'm going to take a pistol shot here. In fact, she's got an ability called Lightning Hands, which allows you to fire a pistol without using an action, so you can fire 2 shots with it. The pistols, really like this, are viable. Like they are not. Really, they're not just the kind of
the consolation prize.
They're like. In fact, I think you can spec a sharpshooter to prioritize pistol.
Oh my god, that's crazy!
Play,
that's absolutely crazy.
Which is kind of cool. I'm a little bit freaking out here just because I've taken damage that I wasn't expecting, and now I don't exactly know what I want to use. But look how cool this looks!
Oh my goodness!
It's a big revolver. Yeah, I customized her in the last video. She's she's got her own special haircut, some scars which you unlock when they're a veteran.
I'm a fan.
And you know that I also made you in the last video, right?
I know, and I've noticed that I am not in this squad, which suggests things did not go well.
I can't. It's spoilers, mate.
This is not the first time I've been horribly killed in someone else's. Tom Francis wrote an XCOM article about how I think I died, or I went to rescue Will Porter in a game of his, and then Will Porter turned into a zombie and killed me.
Oh man,
it was bad. Might have been the other way around.
Yeah, that's not how you want to go. So yeah, we've still got the Viper lady just outside, which is the big threat remaining. But I am whittling them away. They haven't really made any kind of progress into the building. It's
interesting, like why, like other than the look of them, what is it about the Vipers which make them so intimidating? What do they do?
For me, it's the animations, because the first gameplay video they released for XCOM 2 kind of showed off what they can do, and they
can strangle you.
They can bind you, yeah, and that's actually, I'm all right with that because I understand how it works, and it doesn't do a lot of damage if you're prepared for it. But then they have this kind of they hit you with their tongue, which they can do from like really far away. It poisons you, and they have like decent weapons from what I think basically they're a slightly scarier version of the Thin Men.
Right.
And the Thin Men are pretty scary.
Oh, I love the Thin Men.
Yeah. Actually, this is something that I haven't really been able to show now. In the opening cutscene that I was talking about, where they're celebrating Unification Day, there's someone called the Speaker that talks for the aliens and is kind of like, he talks to the human population on behalf of the aliens, right? He's basically just a really handsome thin man. And I really like that. It made me chuckle whilst I was playing. I hope that's the inspiration anyway, because that's what it looked like to me.
The Thin Man's elbows in the previous game is one of my favourite things in gaming that year, just the way their elbow would sort of elegantly tuck out to the side when they were firing.
Yeah, they were
great character design.
You know, the Vipers are actually, in terms of the lore, they are actually the next version of them.
Yeah, I remember you saying
the Thin
this,
Men. Yeah, they no longer have to hide and kind of, protect their identities. So they're just big snakes.
Free to be big snakes.
Which
it's nice in a way.
Yeah, it's lovely. It's also a throwback to the original XCOM as well, which had big snakes. So there you are.
Oh my god!
As if you need a reason to put big snakes in video games. I'm basically trying to fill time here whilst I continue to panic.
You are doing some classic panicking.
Yeah, it's like press tab and then just rotate the camera and see if something jumps out at you that might mean you'd have to die.
This is how it's done, though. This is how it's.
But if I get out, if I can kill them, I'm through to that blue square outside, and we all go home, and everything's all right.
Oh, that sweet blue square.
Once again, there was 4 people watching. All right, man, 4 people. Anything else that jumps out at you that you want to?
What did they think? What did the 4 people watching? What did they think? Did you talk to them about it afterwards? Were they impressed with your performance? Or?
I think I got a little bit of stick for playing a bit too conservatively.
You say it's your game, mate.
Yeah.
You fix it. Fix that when you fix the bug for the ceiling.
Yeah. Why don't you sort the ceilings before you start having
maybe I wouldn't be so conservative if I could see where I was moving. You know.
I didn't say any of those things.
No, you wouldn't because
I just said yes. Yeah, I think you're right.
Firaxis developers tend to be the loveliest developers as well. That's a massive slur on all other developers.
Yeah, every other developer out there.
Oh, it's true. I might as well.
This is the big moment. I need to get rid of the Snake Lady to have any chance of surviving here.
Did you?
Nope.
No.
I didn't.
Oh dear.
I didn't. I think I get another Overwatch with a shotgun, maybe. Oh no, this is a specialist.
Ooh.
That looks like a hit. Nope, wasn't a hit.
Oh, that does not look good.
And that wasn't a hit. Turns out they've got. Oh, there we are. 5 points damage. They've got good agility, is what I'd say about the Snake Ladies.
That's what you'd expect from a giant snake.
They don't mess you
up. Are they about to mess you up? Oh, was that the tongue?
Yeah, but thankfully it missed because I was behind full cover. I imagine that's just a straight up poison.
Oh my god, right, so there's 3 enemies left, one of whom is a snake.
Yes.
Is that right? And 2 Advent soldiers.
Yeah, that's right. One of the Advent soldiers is a kind of commander as well,
right.
So slightly more to them. But yeah, I'm feeling all right now because once again, the Viper Lady came in but did an attack but didn't really manage to do anything with it. So that's put me in an okay position. Also, it's told me that my kind of assault class, my ranger, has been marked.
Ooh.
Yeah, that was really useful. It's always good when you've got a sniper on the roof.
That's what they say.
Yep.
no one's having fun until there's a sniper on the roof. Do you think the Advent soldiers, do you think they keep track of their holiday leave in an Advent calendar?
Oh, Jesus. Wow, I can't believe you made that joke.
Sorry.
Someone at the event made that joke as well. someone in the comments has probably already written this.
Yeah, I know, sorry.
Now heard you say it and heard my reaction, now felt bad about the whole thing.
Yep, felt bad about the human race. Oh dear.
Yeah.
Oh.
That's good, that's good. We've taken out we just got the snake lady to deal
just
with.
you and the snake lady.
And we're sorted. And we've got a nice little drop there as well.
And are the drops, is that random as well?
Yes. Yeah, there's.
So if you move to that square, does that mean that you can sword?
Yeah, which is kind of cool. And you do it without leaving cover, which I didn't even realise I was doing at the time. That was a mistake, sort of.
Is that one dead snake?
Yeah, and then he just slides back into full cover again, which is lovely. Now,
well done.
The only problem is, I've used second actions on pretty much everyone there.
So
I'm not going to be able.
No one.
I'm not going to be able to get to the blue square this turn, which.
But are there any flares anywhere?
Well, it's interesting that you should say that, Christian Dunman. It's very interesting. You should ask whether or not a flare would show up to indicate that reinforcements were about to arrive. Because right now, no, there's no flares whatsoever.
I don't know what to expect.
We are flare free.
Uh-oh.
That would be a flare.
That is a flare.
Where did that even come from? That's what I'd like to know. It seemed to just appear. That no one threw it into the screen. Like it just seemed to sprout out of the ground. Oh wow!
Sorry.
Excellent.
So interesting. Now, where are you going to put the cleaner? That's with the flare in that position.
I actually got talked down from what I wanted to do. I wanted to move up here and go into Overwatch with my pistol.
That's exactly what I would have gone to that exact square.
Because I know I still need to keep moving.
Yep.
But so I got talked out of it by the group behind me, who were giving it the big one about how dangerous these reinforcements could be.
Who were this group?
Yeah, a variety of people.
They're just trying to bring you down.
I think it was a journalist, a developer, and someone from 2K, and one of them told me, you know what, you should just make sure you do a sniper Overwatch. Do a proper Overwatch if you're going to do it.
I would have covered both bases.
Yeah, and which now means that I'm so close to the exit, but I can't get the cleaner there. I think I can get almost everyone else there, maybe even in one turn, but the cleaner, although in this really good spot on the roof, I'm worried. And this is kind of like that invisible link idea of like, you get a bit greedy because you want everything. I want to get everyone out of this map. And because of that, I'm going to start taking some risks now, which means that I could.
It's always the cleaner.
Go home with
it's
no
always
one.
the sniper who suffers.
Yeah, and that, I think that's a really good disadvantage. I've just made a very brave move here. Have you seen what I've done?
Yes. Oh.
I know the reinforcements are going to arrive there. I'm not going to stand in cover.
No, why would I do that? Cover's for losers.
I know they don't go into Overwatch.
Oh dear.
So I'm just going to freaking stand there.
Well, yeah, that is.
And just say, hello, we're Team XCOM.
We're just passing through.
Could you not
don't
kill us
kill
now,
the cleaner.
please? Yeah, basically I'm just going to stand there, not in cover, but on Overwatch.
I think you got this covered. I think you're doing all right.
The people watching behind me reacted quite badly to that. I thought that was a good move. Everyone behind me sort of.
I think it. Oh dear.
Sort of freaked out a little bit.
That's bad.
Don't want a mech to turn up at this stage, do you? You really don't. So close to the exit. I can see the finish line.
I'm just interested to see what you choose to do.
Well, I'm hoping that I do plenty of damage on this Overwatch because I've taken a big gamble here. So we do the big snipe as suggested by the person behind me. It was a miss, wasn't it?
Big snipe.
Goddamn miss.
Oh, that wasn't though.
Do you like how the Overwatch? Okay, it went straight into a plant there, but I like how it kind of cycles between soldiers. Because it used to like. You'd see the Overwatch for one soldier and then it'd back out and then you'd see the Overwatch for the next one. And it all feels like this kind of cohesive movement now, which I like.
Interesting.
I'm actually okay with this because although they've split up and there's 3 enemies I've got to deal with, none of them are on Overwatch, so I've got free movement here, which means I can take my Grenadier right next to an enemy and take a really good shot.
Beautiful.
Which is not something you're usually supposed to do with that kind of character. But because they're out here and everyone's.
And this means that you've got enough people to mop up the other 2.
That's the plan. If I miss any of these shots, however.
Yeah, who knows?
I've got people standing in no cover, so yeah. I need this to go well.
You really want to get your.
Yeah, I know. At this point I was like, I was already mad that I'd listened to them the last time. I was like, you know what? I'm my own commander.
You take your names.
And I'll make my own moves. Thank you very much.
What?
And then I found out there was another turret over there, which is really bad because now there's a turret aiming at the back of my sniper. Yeah. Hadn't even realised that was there the entire game.
Yeah, no, that's
So,
unfortunate.
yeah. I think what I did at the time was I sort of got a little bit cocky about the idea that I'm going to move now because you told me not to last turn, and now this is my decision, and then walk straight into a turret. But if I clear these two at the bottom, I can drop my sniper down, and everything will be alright. And there we are.
Classic.
That's one. And we just got one.
Oh, you got a
left
bit
here.
of loot as well.
Oh yeah, and because I killed them right next to me, I just get to pick it up straight away. There was a PCS agility, I believe, or something combat stims or something like that. Basically, they're a one-time use item, and you can give them to one of your soldiers to improve one of their stats.
Right.
And it's permanent, but obviously, if you use a bunch on one character and then they die.
Yeah, and then they die.
And then finished off with a sword.
Spread your bets, of course.
You've got to do that. All right.
So you made it.
We made it. I just need to get everyone over here.
You earned that. You earned that victory.
It was. I won't lie. This reminded me why I enjoy this series. There was a real level of tension there. I imagine watching it now and seeing like someone kind of really freak out over each movement after it's happened. Maybe it looks like I was wasting a lot of time, but in my mind, I'm
no,
just,
it was you. I would say
it,
are the
it,
cleaner.
It
you
was
channeled the true spirit of the cleaner.
It was great, and there's just something so satisfying about. It's very puzzle-like, I think.
Yeah,
XCOM in these moments.
Well, they always talk about cover puzzles, don't they? And
yeah, there will always be an optimum, answer to each problem that you face. You can't always get out of it, but there's always the best way to try.
There's
and
always the most entertaining ways.
Yeah, which is why I try to use the sword every so often.
Yeah.
I didn't always need to do that.
Keep it fresh.
But and I think, is that everyone? That looks like everyone. Now, my final criticism of XCOM 2 is that at this stage, they really need a button that says extract all. Because instead, what you have to do is, or evac all, sorry. You have to, for each character, press this button for a rope
Maybe
to drop
there's
down.
only one rope. In the grim future.
Maybe that is actually it.
Rope.
But in a high-pressure environment, when you're literally fighting as the resistance against aliens that have taken over the planet, I feel like you need a sharp exit.
I don't think you're in any position. I think they would be like, go out and find us 5 ropes then in the field, and we'll do that.
And there we are.
Oh,
achievement unlocked.
Achievement
_1.
Yeah. Nice.
Yeah.
Achievement 11, the best
yeah.
one.
And I imagine that achievement is like get everyone out all right or something.
Or maybe that achievement is complain about the rope system.
And there we are. 21 out of 22 enemies killed. I didn't kill that final turret.
That was beautifully done. That was really beautiful.
Everyone makes it home.
What a game. I can't wait.
You get a little mission summary here, which I quite like. You get to see the most under fire was the cleaner.
It does make me it's going to make the wait till February a bit harder.
Yeah, I've come away from it very, very happy. I was worried.
You were really worried going in. You were like, what if I don't like it?
We both really built XCOM 2 up, I think, because we were such a fan of its predecessor. There's a worry that you go to one of these previews and you come away thinking that wasn't
the magic. They haven't captured the magic, but no, it looks great.
It really does, and I think we'll wrap up with this moment as they walk away from the Sky Ranger,
which I don't like as much as the old Sky Ranger.
God, you are such a hipster.
Sorry.
And look at this. The injured soldiers have a little bit of a hobble. Nice touch.
Oh,
there we are.
Gravely wounded.
Christian Dillon, thank you for joining me for this.
Thank you so much.
Extended look at XCOM 2.
It's absolutely brilliant.
If you haven't already seen the other video that we did, you can take a look at that now.
Right, sorry.
And I think Donlan needs to have a cup of tea and a lie down. So,
all the best.
Thanks for watching.
Thank you so much.
And I remember you were pretty. You had some really great questions on base management. So now we're here, and you can get your hands a little bit dirty,
cool.
And see if everything I told you was bullshit or is actually happening on screen.